When I was initially diagnosed with psoriasis, I was surprised because it wasn't the plaque psoriasis that most people know of. It wasn't the most common type. So my psoriasis is like little red spots all over my body. At its worst, those little red spots had spread and almost joined up. So I was 60% covered, I think, at my lowest point. It was almost like I looked like a burns victim. It was so severe. So it was debilitating, I think. And at that point, knowing that psoriasis was a chronic condition, in your head, you're just thinking, I'm going to be dealing with this for life. Like, how do I cope? How do I manage? So, yeah, it was a really low point in my life. The stigma around a skin condition, I think, especially a visible condition like psoriasis, it has such an impact on your self-esteem, on how people view you. I think having been a performer, having been a dancer, I was so used to putting on this certain image, and to have that almost snatched away from me, I didn't know my own body, I didn't recognise myself. I hated my reflection in the mirror. I think there was about 18 months where I cried every time I looked at the mirror across from my shower. There's this massive part of the condition that is the mental load, is the dealing with, what do I wear? Did I get enough sleep? Did I go to work today? Like, have I put my cream on? What treatment can I use? I've tried this, I've cut out that from my diet. Should I exercise? That'll make it worse. There's all of these layers, and I think it's so important we keep talking about all facets of this condition that affect people differently.
When I was diagnosed, I used to go to the swimming pool every week, but the water is not so good for my skin. So finally, I have to leave my sport and try other sports. So it makes me take some decisions, not that maybe if you don't have the disease, you are not going to take.
Understanding the mental impact in dermatology is absolutely crucial. You see, in dermatology, many dermatological diseases, patients don't necessarily die earlier. So this is different from oncology. But what is very, very profound is the impact on the mental well-being of patients. And this, of course, has an impact on their biography, for example, their ability to form relationships, have fulfilling relationships, on their academic performance, which then in turn, determines their earning potential, So these diseases often have a very profound impact on the life, on the fulfilled life you can live. And our job is to really bring medicines to patients, to society that allows patients to live an as fulfilled life as they can possibly do.
Well-being in medicine is so fundamental because this is the primary goal we should have in treatment. People forget this, that we as physicians, as nurses, as other healthcare professionals have the function to increase the level of health of everybody who comes to us. And health means, by definition of the WHO, not the mere absence of disease, but a status of complete physical, emotional, and social well-being. So well-being is the driving force of what we do.
The company was created in 1944, 80 years ago, and the focus of the company has always been on innovation, in innovating to find new medicines for patients in need. Almirall is today a leader in medical dermatology in Europe, and of course, when we look forward, our ambition is to also be seen as a global leader. The company portfolio is comprised of more than 100 products, and they are available in 90 countries. I think this reflects our commitment and our effort to make our medicines as available as possible to patients in need in the area of medical dermatology.
Mostly the first reaction of others if they see somebody with a skin lesion is negative. And this is probably an evolutionary reflex because people are scared of that the other person has a contagious disease and there may be an infection.
I needed the medication to help me stabilise my skin, to get to a better place in my head. I needed that headspace to then say, right, now what can I proactively do to help manage my skin, whether that be through diet, exercise, gratitude, all those other things that seem quite alternative, but I think now we're realising that's just a holistic view. It's a way to look at the whole person, that obviously your skin condition affects much more than just your skin.
There's a lot of evidence that Almirall is making a very, very significant difference to those patients living with dermatological conditions. Almirall has for the first time ever supported a study that is looking at well-being as the primary endpoint, so at the outcome. So we're asking a radical, fundamental question: can we give patients their lives back? And the first results from these studies are incredibly encouraging, that we can give patients whose well-being has been significantly impacted by the disease, we can actually, with our medicine, bring them back to a state of the general population, so an almost normal state of well-being, which is remarkable.
When I'm treated successfully, I have a lot of improvements in my life, not only because my skin has a better appearance now. I have less lesions, my skin is less itchy, but also because I can do my normal life. I can go to the gym, I can go to the beach, for example, in summer, and I feel less stressed and with less anxiety.
I don't let psoriasis dictate as much of my life anymore. I was at the theatre recently where I realised how often I lift my hands to scratch my head, and I felt really sorry for the people behind me. So it's those tiny little parts of my day where I go, oh, psoriasis. So it's never far from my mind, but it's not my focus. And I think that's what's shifted. I've shifted my focus to my hobbies, my work, my family life. I think you just have to be very careful with what you take on board and what you try. So keeping a medical practitioner, listening to what your GP or your dermatologist would say, as well as finding out what works for you at the same time.
We believe that the work of Almirall will help bring more talented people into the world of dermatology, including, of course, healthcare practitioners, dermatologists, but also nurses and also specialists in other areas. Well, how are we doing that? I think by just increasing the awareness of the suffering of patients and the immense unmet need in this area in dermatology. Almost in all diseases, there's still an opportunity to bring novel medicines to help patients in need.